Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. This is what we're going to be building from a set of castings that I've acquired off of eBay over a number of years. These are called tether cars. They were popular during the late 1930s to the 1940s, and people were still running them into the 1950s. They still run them today. They're powered by internal combustion engine, they have suspension, and they're pretty fast. So this is a Dooling Mercury rear wheel drive, and that's what we're going to be building. This is the original advert for the Dooling. $23, a whole $23, but I don't know when that was. I don't have a date on it. This is what it looks like in the original advert. Some useful information there, how the wheels are made and assembled. There's very little information about there's very little drawings available for these cars. Plenty of cars around, but they're very held by collectors, and they don't like to hand them out for people to measure them, I suppose. Anyway, onward. What we do have that should be very useful is parts sheet for the Dooling. We've got all the parts here. One of the really useful things for us is the size, to get the sizes, because we don't have an awful lot of drawings, is, for example, and we'll come back to this, but photo interpolation can be useful. So we don't know what size this shaft is, but if we know what size of nut goes on the end of it, and bearing in mind in those days it was all imperial sizes, so everything's 3/16, quarter, half inch, generally that kind of thing. So this 2612 here, it's quarter inch by 28 acorn nuts. Okay, so we know that's quarter inch thread, so that's probably a quarter inch shaft. That's how we're working for the whole thing, which means that the holes in the hubs are quarter inch as well, and that's basically how I'm working. I have the castings, so I know roughly the castings are slightly larger than this, but I know the size from there to there on the drawing, and I know the size of the casting, so I can work out the ratio between the two sizes, and it gives me some ideas of what the sizes should be and where they should be. Again, taking things to the nearest quarter inch, half inch, eighth inch, 60th inch. And that's what we're going to be doing. We're also going to be using a lot of photographs, and I managed to get my hands on one of these books. Excellent book with, I hope I'm not breaking any rules here showing you this, lots of cars in it, lots of this is the Dooling manufacturer, lots of cars, lots of pictures, so I quite fancy this colour scheme here. And we'll be painting it as well, so lots of reference pictures, and that helps as well. We know where the nuts go, what shape the track rods are, etc, etc. So there we have that. Now into the castings. This is the main chassis casting. You can see I've got the big rule here just so you can see roughly what size it is. So the main casting is 15 inches. Then we have the cowling for the tail. It's still to be cut to make it fit, so but it will fit there from your position of. So give it about there, and this is the main body. Go there, just so you can see that. The castings on this are quite thick, so I very much doubt if they're original. I think these are aftermarket, somebody else's. I don't know, but I don't think they're original Dooling castings by any stretch. Then we have the casting for the front grille. I've been messing about with what kind of grille we should put on it, but I'm going to copy the ones in the photographs, I think. So that would go in there. We have the axle. I've started drilling this one because I didn't have any intention of doing a video, but I was talked into it. So this is the rear axle, which goes in like that, and the springs go in here, and that's the rear suspension. This is the front axle that I've started making already. This is the little acorn nuts that we were talking about earlier. I'll come back to that later, but that goes in there like that, and that's how you get your front axle. That goes on there. That goes on there. So I'll turn that on its side so you can get a better view of it as to what it might look like. Whoops. So I've put a few lines here and there. Let's see if I can see if there's anything I can put underneath that to hold it. There we go. So that goes on there like that. That'll be fitted into there. I've started drilling this and that'll fit into there. Rear axle will go in there, and the front axle will go on there like that. So, and while we've got that, we have the set of wheels and tyres, smaller ones for the front, larger ones for the back. And I've been messing about with the these are 3D printed just to save time to give me to rapid prototype it, just so to give me time to mess around with it. So I don't know whether I'm going to do wire wheels or solid wheels as in the original. Haven't decided that yet. Anyway, put that over there. I also have the engines for two. I have two cars, so I'm going to make two. We have a Hornet. This one's not too bad. It's a bit tight and needs stripped and cleaned and some work done on it. This one is a Rice engine. Olsen Rice, I think. It's pretty good condition, so we'll see what we can do with that. That's probably going to be the one we use here, which will be mounted from the bottom through there, I suspect. We shall see. Yeah, I'm sure these go in from the bottom, these ones. Need to take out the casting first. Okay. The set of gears for the back axle, a set of springs for the suspension, and this is TLC, who I was buying my parts from. I also have some ignition leads, some track rods, and the track rods go between, they go through here onto the suspension, there and there, onto the back axles, and I've managed to acquire an ignition coil and a bracket. So that should get us a running car at some point. Other things I've been collecting is screws. These are screws for putting the body panels on. These are all coarse thread screws, and they're imperial sizes, UNF or UNC. The reason for the coarse is you always, when you're putting a screw into soft material like aluminium, you always use a coarse thread. If you're going steel to steel, stainless steel to steel, you can use a fine thread. So the acorn nuts are all fine, UNF, and the screws are all UNC. If you don't want to try and make the stud axles for parts like these, you can buy these on eBay. They either come with the UNF or UNC, but you haven't found any with the two different threads on each end. Some washers and nuts and half nuts, lock nuts, and that's it. Some stainless steel and mild steel shafts for axles, drive shafts, etc, etc. These are all imperial sizes again, starting to get difficult to get a hold of, but we managed to get some. So that's the Dooling car. I also have a BB corn car, which we're going to be building later as well. And I'll just let you see that one. So what we have here, set of castings. This is the front suspension castings. I'll talk about the castings in a wee minute. We have the front cowl with the radiator grille. This is untouched by me. This is the way I got it. We received it. So we have that. So what we have is chassis, subframe, takes the engine and locates on these spigots here through these holes. The engine sits in here and the suspension floats like that. The axle mounts on there like that. So that's how the chassis sits on that one, and the back axle sits in there and floats like that. This is the main body casting, quite nicely done, and this one has the Parker BB Corn 1940 cast into it. Whether it's original or not, I don't know. It's certainly a thinner, much higher quality casting than the Dooling castings. They also ring, and I'm just wondering if this is one of the other alloys they were using, which I've just forgot about. I forgot what you call it. It's a long while. I'm not as young as I used to be. I forget things these days. So that all goes on like that. That's roughly what it'll look like. All of this has to be dressed out and made to fit properly. And this is it. And if I can get hold of one of the engines. This is the Hornet engine, and this is the engine I'll be putting in it. So I don't know if it'll go or not. No, it's not going to go. Castings are needing dressed. Anyway, so you'll have engine in there. Engine in there. Axle. And rear axle. Tyres. Small one. Large one. That's what it's going to look like. Something about these castings, I don't know if this is normal because I don't have any of these cars. I always liked them, but I could never afford them, and that's why I'm making my own. The castings for the corn are definitely a higher quality material. An awful lot of sand inclusions. If I had handed that to a tradesman when I was an apprentice, I would have got that thrown back at me. I mean, these are not complex castings, sand castings. You can still see the sand in there. It's I can't remember the name of it, but it's like plasticine. It's very supple. It's very good quality, and there's really no excuse for that. That's just laziness. Whoever's doing this, or they were in a hurry. Anyway, I'll move that just now. Coming back to the castings, you see how thick that casting is. Compared to the corn castings. Much thinner. The castings, but they're perfectly usable, they'll work fine. It won't win any races because they're going to be heavy. You can thin them out a bit, but it's quite difficult to thin something like that. So this is the one we're going to have problems with, and the reason we're going to have problems with it is because whoever cast it I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that lip there? The top, these are cast with the bottom half, this part. You can see that side. This part here is cast in the bottom box and in its level, and this part is in the top box. It's like two boxes that close with a gap in between, with the mould or the hollow part where the pattern was. And the top box is lined up with pins onto the bottom one, and I don't want to slag off somebody else's work, but that's pretty rough. Look at that. So I don't know what they were doing. Anyway, it just means we've got a lot of filing to do. So I started dressing this one down to see how thick this was going to be by the time we dressed this down to meet this part here. I suspect that might be why I was sold the castings, because that's a lot to come off. Anyway, it's still going to leave 3mm of aluminium, so we're going to dress that right down as best we can, and we'll go from there. Anyway, there you have it. One Dooling Mercury, and we're going to hacksaw it, file it, drill it, and use the lathe, the absolute minimum. And I hope it's of interest and you find it useful. Thank you very much.